Okay, hope the audio is good. I thought I'd do a 2023 book tier list. So these are in the order that these are not in the order that I read them in. They're in a random order. I'm actually gonna redo my list so that they're in the right order. Now they're in the right order. First book I read, We Were Liars. I actually read this book before, I think when I was in grade 6, and I remember not really understanding why there was so much hype around it even back when I was in grade 6. And then the hype resurfaced on TikTok, so I was like, okay, let me give it another chance. And I actually cried so much. I think this was in the beginning of when I started to get back into reading. All of my friends are like, oh, this book kind of sucks, it's like so predictable, but maybe me being naive, I never saw it coming and it was such a shock. I'm gonna put it in Slade because I think it's a good plot twist, but the plot twist was so sudden and so out of the blue. I know a lot of my friends was like, oh, it's so expected, it was so boring, I knew it was coming, but I'm gonna put it there. Next we have The Cruel Prince. I also read this because of the TikTok hype, and I feel kind of bad because I don't actually really like this book and I didn't get the hype. It's kind of like, why did people love this so much? I kind of got it in the last 100 pages, but for like the first 3/4 of the book, I was actually so bored out of my mind. I didn't understand why people loved this. I wasn't really rooting for the two characters to get together. I thought the prince was too cruel and that he doesn't deserve love, and I thought the main character should figure out her own path and become a knight or like whatever she was trying to pursue. And I didn't see space for a romance, and I just didn't think they were compatible. Like, sure, you can hate each other and it's kind of cute. Enemies and lovers might just not be my thing, is what I'm trying to figure out. Next, I read Del Amor Aunties. Oh my gosh. I read this for my book club with my friend, and this was the only book we read in our book club. I don't know if it's because I grew up in an Asian household, so I felt like the stereotypes were overplayed. I didn't super enjoy this. It's kind of okay. It's kind of like, okay, sure. I know my friend enjoyed it quite a lot and she thought it was really funny, but I was kind of just like, okay, like here's just the stereotypes played out and made ironic and over exaggerated so that it seemed really funny, and it was just not funny for me. Next, Book Lovers. Maybe I just don't like TikTok recommended books. I wasn't a really big fan of Book Lovers, and I know everybody loves Emily Henry and everyone says that, oh, Book Lovers is one of her better books and that the love felt so real and so natural and blah 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 blah. I didn't think the love was that good. Again, maybe it's because I'm not a big fan of enemies to lovers, and I kind of feel like this is a little bit more rivals to lovers, but it's kind of the same vibe. I didn't think they were great together. I get how not liking each other can bring you guys closer, but I just didn't feel that understanding really for each other. I get that they're both kind of like type A and they're both kind of independent people. To me, I didn't really feel the connection, and I don't know if it's because I read this as an audiobook and I was bored. So, I don't really get the hype. Next. Oh my god, Heartstopper. I think I read all 4 books in 2 days. I cried and I rated multiple of them 5 stars. So 8 and left no crumbs. I also watched the show and I think it's a really good adaptation. I did cringe a lot more though in the show. I think the books are way better and I felt more deeply while reading the books, but I do think the show is super cute and I am always gonna be rooting for them. They're the best. Okay, next. What is this? Oh, All the Bright Places. Okay, I own this book and I read this book when I bought it in like grade 7 or 6. And I remember rereading this because I was like, I wanted a book to make me cry. And it did, I think, when we found out that, was his name Finn, the boy, when he drowned, I think I sobbed so hard. The way I forgot what this book was even about, indicates that it didn't really leave a really big impact on me. So I think at the time I would have put it in Slade, but now I think it's just like, okay, sure. It's good. It was really easy to read. I remember it was really easy to read. I remember it being a little too edgy for my taste, but it would have been perfect for like middle schoolers. Next, we have The Poppy War. Automatic 8. 8. It was so good. I remember recommending this book to every single person that would listen to me talk about this book. You know, I think growing up reading YA, there were a lot of female main characters, but this girl, she is better than the rest of them. I loved that there wasn't a really big... Is there even a romance plot? I feel like there wasn't even a romance plot, and I like that. I don't know if it's because I just don't like romance or I have a specific taste in romance. I liked that it was magical realism, and I'm normally not that big of a fan of fantasy, but even when the fantastical elements came in, I was pretty engaged and I really liked the book. I don't know what she put in here, but it's slaying. I'm also reading Babel right now, which is by the same author, and I'm really into that book too. So maybe it's the author, maybe it's the writing style. I don't know what it is, but Slade. Read it. It's so good. I know it's long, but it's so good. Okay, next. One Last Stop. I'm tempted to put it in 8 and Left No Crumbs because it's definitely better than The Slay, but it's like in between. It has a special place in my heart. What was her name? I'm so bad with names. But the girl that was stuck on the subway, I had the hugest crush on her. She was like so witty, so funny. She was hot. Obviously, I don't know what she looks like, but just her personality, like she was giving. And I remember being a little bit frustrated with the main character a couple times, but I think the girl on the subway made up for it, and her friends at the apartment made up for it. It was just such a heartwarming queer fiction novel. Anyone who's getting into queer fiction should read this book. It's just so cute. I usually don't like romance, and this is a romance book, but I felt like the romance was just enough mixed with contemporary, with a little bit of magical realism for it to be interesting enough. Right now I'm also reading Red, White, and Royal Blue, also by the same author, and I feel like it's hard for me to get through it because there's just too much smut and too much lovey-dovey romance, which is great. Like if you love romance, that book is really good for it, but I think One Last Stop had more substance to the storyline, and it was just better, and I loved the emotions. I loved like all the concepts and thoughts and everything explored in the book, and it was just okay. I'm gonna say it's slayed, but it's slayed hard enough to eat. You know what? It ate. Next, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Okay, this is funny because I ranked A Good Girl's Guide to Murder way higher. I think I rated it maybe 5 or 4 stars, and I rated One Last Stop 3 stars. But the thing is, now that time has passed, I think I like One Last Stop more than A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. So I'm gonna put it in Slade, but better than We Were Liars. The thing is, after I finished reading A Good Girl's Guide to Murder right after, it was so good. I think it's because I never really read mystery or anything close to this genre. Usually I don't read mystery because I get spooked and I really don't like scary things. I remember I read The Shining by Stephen King for my high school literature club. It's not even scary. Like, The Shining is not a scary book, but I literally could not sleep for days because it was just so suspenseful. And I think suspense is the thing that scares me more than anything that's actually scary, like killing or whatever. I don't know, maybe I haven't read too many scary stuff. I think A Good Girl's Guide to Murder is like a perfect mystery without scary elements, and I was really intrigued. I remember reading it and loving it a lot and rating it pretty high, but looking back I kind of forget about it, so it's kind of like one of those. Whereas One Last Stop, I remember finishing it and being like, oh, that's pretty good. I definitely enjoyed it and was looking forward to reading it, but over time I'm kind of like, okay, yeah, like I really, really did actually enjoy this book and I would reread it. Moving on. Conversation with Friends, Slade. 8 and Left No Crumbs. I finished this book and I was literally telling every single person about this book. I know a lot of people criticize Sally Rooney for saying a whole lot of nothing. I definitely felt that way with her other books, but I don't know what it was with Conversations with Friends. I think it was because I was just reading it at the right time in my life where I was like, wow, this writing is so beautiful. I cannot get enough of it and I just want to soak it all in. I just love the way that she viewed life, and I love the complicated conversations and relationships that she explored in this book. I actually made a whole other video talking about her other books, but yes, if you're gonna read a Sally Rooney book, I know Normal People is supposed to be her really popular book, but I think Conversations with Friends is better. Yes, please read it. It's so good. I think if I read it now, I might not like it as much as I did when I first read it. So really, it might have been where I was at that time, but still, Slade, it ate, and it was really good. Moving on. Okay. The House of Serenity. This is a hard one because I feel like it's also like One Last Stop, where the more time has passed, the better I remember this book and the better I think the book was. I'm gonna put it in Slade. Maybe here. These two are kind of tied. I think I definitely liked A Good Girl's Guide to Murder right after I read it, but I think over time I'm more drawn to The House in the Cerulean Sea because I remember just loving the children. They were just so cute, and I love that they all have their little quirks. I think the romance was just enough. Again, I'm not that big of a fan of just like straight romance books, but this one was like, ooh, I'm so excited, like middle school crush, but like in an adult, and it was just like so cute. Okay. The Night Circus. Ooh, I think I really wanted to love this book, but I didn't. Okay, sure. I know I rated it pretty high in Goodreads because one of my other friends just finished the book a week ago, like week before I finished reading it, and she rated it 5 stars out of 5, and I was like, okay, maybe I think I was gaslighting myself into liking this book. Here's the thing, the writing is really nice. I think the writing is as nice as the writing in Conversation with Friends. Everyone on TikTok and on BookTube was rating it really, really high, which was why I picked it up to read it. And I just didn't really like it that much. I don't know why. I think the writing's beautiful. I think the concept is really magical and creative, but I just couldn't immerse myself into it. I could feel the disconnect between me as a reader and this world. So I think that's why I didn't love it. But definitely if I loved fantasy and everything magical, I probably would have rated this way higher. Yeah, if you love like fantasy stuff, you would love this book because the writing is just, it's beautiful. Okay, next. You already know. I know, everybody's saying that it was so good. I agree because all of the conversations that she brings up and everything that she explores in her book regarding how she grew up, all the struggles, mental struggles, the way that people treated her, and how she's moving through life now with everything that happened to her in the past. It's so authentic and so genuine, and you can really hear her true feelings behind it. I think there's something really charming about authenticity. I've never read anything so genuine, so real, just so like, wow, like life is lifing. I don't know how else to explain it. I think a lot of people look back at experiences, at bad experiences especially, and try to shine it in a good light, like, oh, this thing happened, but now I'm so much stronger. And they try to make everything negative that happened to them like a positive thing. That's great that you're getting through it. But I also think that the way that she wrote about her negative experiences in this book is less about looking at how to fix these wrongs, but more of saying, oh, this thing happened to me, this is how I felt, and this is how it affected my life. You'll get it if you read it. So I think everyone should read this book because honestly, it's really good. And I listened to the audiobook and she narrates the audiobook, and I think it's just great to hear her voice reading her own book. And you know what, she deserved all the praise that it got. So this is probably the best one. Like, I think this is a good order. I feel bad putting it here because I understand what the book is trying to talk about, and I think history is important. I think I would have just rather learned about history a different way, especially the events that happened in this book. I didn't really feel like it was effective. And I know a lot of people really like this book, and I know the importance of the educational aspects of it, but for me, I'm sorry, I didn't really think it was that good. Moving on. I also got, oh, okay. Yeah, I think it's like kind of in between here. Maybe like here or like here. Okay, I'm gonna put it there. I honestly don't really remember what happened. I remember really loving the first book, and then I read the second book on the go bus coming back home from university, and I remember also really enjoying it, but it's kind of those like coffee table books where you kind of just read it on like a Sunday afternoon at a cafe and kind of just forget about it. It's very like la-di-da, rainbows and bows and ribbon and sunshine, and then it kind of just passes. So I did really like this. I think it's a good book to read to pass the time, but it didn't really have a lasting impact on me. Ooh. Okay, I'm sorry. I feel really bad. I know like Sally Rooney stans really love Sally Rooney, and I get it. Her writing is really nice, but I just didn't really like this book. And I think it's because I just didn't understand and I didn't relate to the main character, which is fine. I don't have to relate to the main character to love the book, but something about a rich white woman who literally makes a profit off of her hobby and doesn't even work every single day and is famous and has money. And I understand that these things happen and that people do get depression, like no matter how good your life is, but I felt like it was a little bit removed from reality. And it kind of irked me throughout the whole thing, and I didn't really enjoy it that much. Okay, but this one's late. The Tao Pooh, oh my god, 8, so good. I think it's so cute. I love Winnie the Pooh, so I'm also biased. Like if you're just feeling lost in life and you want like a little pick-me-up and something cute to read, this would be it. It's really short. I own this book as well. I don't remember where I put it. I bought it at this bookstore, very cute downtown bookstore. It's one of those local bookshops. I remember the cash register, the girl, I think she owned the shop. She was saying how she loved this book, and I was really excited and I read it. And the first time I finished, I was kind of like, maybe it's a little overhyped, but the more I think about it and I actually applied this concept to my life, the more I'm like, I get it. I get why people love this book, and I get why people follow this way of thinking and take these messages in and try to apply them to their life, because it truly does benefit you and it truly does improve the quality of your life. I would definitely give it a read. It's very cute, very easy to read, and very short and very effective, straight to the point. Normal people. Okay, yeah. Normal people, I didn't really get the hype. Everyone loves this book, but I don't get it. Again, I talk more about this in my other video, but I think conversations with friends, you understand why these people in this situation can't get out of it, because they are like giving into their feelings and they are exploring themselves. They're basically doing what they want, but what they want is complicated and creates problems. Whereas in normal people, the characters know what they want and they both want each other, but they don't do what they want, which frustrates me, because just do it. Like, both of you guys like each other, so why not just date? Like, why do you have to make it complicated? Yeah, I just didn't understand that. Maybe it's because I wasn't in the right time in my life to read it. I don't know. I'm just thinking, like, when would I ever be in the right place, right time in my life to read Normal People and enjoy it? I can't think of when I would be in that moment. Yeah, I just didn't get the hype. I wish I did, because a lot of people really like this book. Next, Okay, Society of Irregular Witches. A lot of booktubers that I watch really like this book. But for me, I just think it's okay. I think I'd put it here. Maybe like here. I think it's good. I would read it to my kids if I had kids. I wasn't super invested in the romance. I don't think they should have gone together. Again, maybe it's because they're a little bit like rivals. They're not even rivals, they just didn't like each other. I thought the three girls were cute. I thought the main character, like, she had a lot of personality. But I don't know, it just was kind of mediocre to me. I was just kind of like, okay, like, yeah, it's a book. I read it. Let's move on. Delilah Green doesn't care. Okay, it's Slade. It was good. It's good. I rated Delilah Green Doesn't Care the same as One Last Stop, but something about One Last Stop is just so much better. I don't know if it's because I had a crush on the subway girl. I don't know. But also, like, main character in Delilah Green Doesn't Care, Slade too. It's cute. It's also queer. It's cute. I think the conversations are nice. Maybe it's a little bit edgy because the main character is a little bit edgy. She's very like, I don't give a fuck about what other people think, and I'm just here because I'm like a starving artist, which I'm kind of like, okay. Lessons of Chemistry, Slade. I think probably my favorite book. Literally just read it. I think it's fiction. I mean, okay, here's the thing. I would categorize as fiction. I don't know if other people would categorize it. It's not really historical fiction. I don't think it is. It just talks about life as a chemist, as a scientist, women STEM in the 1800s, I think. And like how difficult it was back then, and lots of sexism, conversation around single motherhood, and how it's just so much harder to pursue a career as a woman, and like gender roles. And I think all those conversations were discussed in a way that was very, very interesting, very intriguing. Like, they definitely hit all the important parts. It was very, very good. I don't know how else to explain stuff. Like, you have to read it. Like, it's just so good. I loved it. Okay, maybe it's because I'm not a big fan of romance, but I understood why they loved each other. And the thing is, they were rivals. Like, they didn't like each other in the beginning, and I normally don't like rivals to lovers, but this one, I understood it because they showed the progression from why they didn't like each other to how they started talking more and how they started to understand that they understood each other and then developed feelings. And I think showing that journey really helped me like them as a couple. I wasn't particularly sad, spoiler, when he died. And I don't know why that is. It's just so good. Like, I've been telling everybody to read it, and I've been literally sharing about it, telling everyone to read it. And I remember mentioning it so many times to this one girl at Acapella, and she told me that there was a TV show for it, and I want to watch it. Yeah, I haven't gotten the chance, so that reminds me, I think I'm gonna go watch it because it's so good. And I want to buy this book because I will definitely reread it, and I just want to have it on my shelf. So good, so good. Anyways, next, Legends of Lottis. Oh, I don't get the hype. It's cute. It's okay. The concept's nice. They talk about the same thing for like 3 hours. I also listened to it as an audiobook. If you like comfy cozy and the same thing for like 3 hours, go for it. But it was just kind of like, I didn't really get why it was so popular, because it was so popular on TikTok and BookTube. I don't get it, but I'm glad other people like it. Okay, last book I read was Happy Hour. I really expected to really like this book, but I don't remember if I really did. I think maybe here. Yeah, it's contemporary. I love contemporary. I don't really remember what it's about. I think it's about the two friends, and like the main character is kind of very like no personality. People adore her because she's mixed, I think, and just about coming of age in New York. It feels nostalgic. I think that's a nice feeling to have, but it's also not very memorable. Yeah, I read it on the transit. It was a good transit read. Yeah, that's all I gotta say about it. But anyways, that's all I have for that. yeah, I think I read 21 books in total in 2023, plus the 2 that I read in 2022 near the end of 2022. Those are all my books ranked. And for 2024, which is now, I'm hoping to read at least 2 books a month, which would be 24 books. Yeah, we'll see if I get there. But anyways, see y'all next time, I guess.